Hi friends, we are going to see Yojana, April month 2021, special edition Jal Jeevan Mission. And this is a series on Yojana articles. Already we have done a video on water security based on this Yojana. Today we are going to see two articles of Yojana with the title Water Future in a Climate Risk World, Indian Experiences and Water Governance. These are the two articles we are going to see. So in these articles we are going to check some of the key points which may be used for our UPSC examination perspective, and we also see a question how we can fit this points in that particular question. Okay, we'll start with the article Water Future and Climate Risk World, Indian Experience. This can be an example for a case study written by Sunita Narain. We need to know the background of her. It's a Director General Center for Science and Environment, one of the important organizations in India. So it's page number 17. I'll mark paragraph 1. So paragraph 1, what are the key points which can be used for our exam perspective? So I'll just go through it. I would also argue that while water scarcity is indeed growing, it is not inevitable that cities will run out of water or that we will not have any water to drink. I say this because water is a replenishable resource. It snows and rains each year. More importantly, other than in the case of agriculture, we do not consume water, we use recharge. Therefore, it can be treated and then reused and recycled. So this one future we can change. So this first paragraph, what we can understand is, so you also know that water is one important resources which has a finite capacity. But she gives this argument in such a way that it is not to assume that water is going to be taken out from our world. There are greater chance for finding water. How to find water? So there's important terms which we need to understand. One is treat, reuse and recycle. So these are the keywords what she says. So water, we can replenish them. How we can get back water? By treating the water, reusing the water and recycling the water. So this can be a conclusion for your answers whenever you write any questions regarding GS and water related issues, which you give a positive note. So you know that as a civil service aspirants, apart from your answers, examiner also find your positive mindset. So they want a civil service aspirant which you have a positive mindset. How we can show the positive mindset? We can write a conclusion in such a way that there is a hope for us in a such a way that water resources can be found. How it can be found? By treatment, reusing and recycling. This can be a conclusion, you can use it in your answers. And also the another most important point is, she says that agriculture is one area where we consume water. So what we need to understand is, whatever water we use in agriculture, we can't get it back. The point is agriculture, we are going to use water which gets us an output, either in form of grain, fruits or vegetables. So that's what she says. So agriculture is the one area where water is converted as a agricultural produce. So that information we need to keep in mind. Second point in paragraph 1 is, this means getting the policy and practice of water management right. The good news is water literacy has grown. Water literacy has grown. Over the past few decades, the country has learned critical lessons on water management and evolved a new paradigm. Till the 1980s, water management was largely confined to issue of irrigation projects, building of dams, canals to store and supply water. Here there are two important information. One is water literacy. And she says that right now in India, water literacy has improved a lot. So this point we can use it anywhere. So water literacy is nothing but knowledge about water. So if you want to have water conservation and if you want to solve the problem related to water, first we need to understand that there are certain ideas about water we need to have. That's called water literacy. Water literacy is for common man. It's not about the top level. Every citizen need to have knowledge about water. That's called water literacy. This idea can be used across various aspects of society, correct? It can be health literacy, digital literacy. So this key term you can prefix, you can change, and based on the question you can write. So this water literacy is one important term, and she says that is improved a lot. And regarding policy shift and water management, there are a lot of new models emerged, and she have given some chronological order. So in 1980s, so regarding water management, the primary focus in India was irrigation projects. So that time our government thought that water management is related to irrigation projects. So if you are able to create irrigation projects properly, large dams and canals, water problem can be solved. So that was in 1980s. And next we go for page number 18, paragraph 1, paragraph 2 and paragraph 3. So in page number 18, paragraph 1, again, there was a paradigm shift in the policy. In droughts of late 1990s, state governments launched massive program to capture rainwater by building ponds, digging tanks and building check dams on streams. So 1980s, what we saw was focusing on irrigation projects. In 1990s, due to the experience of drought, most of the state government began to create infrastructures like ponds, tanks, check dams. So that was the focus in 1990s regarding water management. We can see the shift of water management from large dams and canals. Right now they come in size, smaller size, like ponds, tanks and check dams was constructed in 1990s. And by 2000s, these efforts collapsed into MGNREGA, investing labor into building rural water assets. So here it's more about rural water assets by means of MGNREGA. So here you can see the shift in water management. See, it's more about proactive measures, especially after 2000s, where local people are involved in creation of water assets. So that's a shift in water management. Where this information can be used is how our development has transformed. So anything regarding planning, question regarding planning, or how government has changed its development perspective, any questions, you can give this as an example. In 1990s, what was the focus of water management? In 2000s, what is the focus of water management? How it has shifted. So this can be a point, especially in a question regarding economics. Anything regarding infrastructure development, any question regarding that, you can relate all these points. Next thing is paragraph 2 in that. It was understood that over 50% of agriculture was still rain-fed, so water conservation and decentralized rainwater harvesting, ensuring that every well and every water body was recharged and critical for productivity and well-being. So here you can see that a relation between agriculture and water. So in agriculture, so 50% of agriculture is rain-fed. So what is rain-fed means? For irrigation, they need to depend upon monsoon. So there comes the importance of water management. So water conservation. So government began to focus more on water conservation and decentralization. Water conservation and decentralized rainwater harvesting. And this point where we can use is any question regarding agriculture, what are challenges in agriculture, you can give this point. 50% is rain-fed. So Indian agriculture depends upon nature and monsoon. And similarly, you can also relate this point for decentralization. Here decentralization is nothing but they are relating with panchayats. Any question regarding panchayats or municipalities in polity, you can relate this point. How water conservation is the domain of panchayats. So what are the primary focus of this? Why we want to decentralize and water conservation is especially for productivity. Next point in that paragraph 2 is, in the decade of 2010, the crisis of urban drought hit homes, but again policy evolved as it learned that augmenting water supply was only one part of the challenge. Cities was increasingly dependent upon long distance sources, pumping, piping this water meant both losses in distribution as well as cost of electricity, and this turn made available water expensive and more inequitable. So here the other next point is regarding urban water problems. Regarding urban water problems. So this is regarding urban water problems. So regarding urban water problems, there are different dimensions which we need to understand. Availability. So availability is ensured for urban water problems because there are a lot of tanks and ponds are being established across the urban centers. So the availability of water is there, but the issue where it starts is transportation, that is wastage during transportation, and apart from this loss of distribution, cost. So these are the primary aspects of urban water problem. It's not about availability. The most biggest problem is the cost, electricity charges for pumping the water. Next thing is loss during distribution, leakages, and another thing is and wastage even in the ponds like evaporation. All those factors add up. So this is also most important aspect regarding urban water problems. So any question regarding urbanization challenges, you can relate with this. So in urban water problem, it's not about availability. Taking the water from point A and reaching to point B, there are a lot of issues. So that was the point. You can use it in paragraph 2 and paragraph 3. So paragraph 3, water supply was linked to pollution. The more water supply, the more is wastewater generation. Without adequate treatment leads to pollution of rivers and water bodies, which in turn destroys available water and increase the cost of cleaning up drinking water. She adds up the new dimension in water management, that is whenever we have large water supply, so water supply increases, that can be correlated with water pollution. So what may be the reason for this? The usage of water in our life, which clearly shows that it generates a lot of wastewater. If you take agriculture, we use water for crops, which is being fertilizers also used in the land, that results in pollution. Similarly, if you take industries or domestic purpose, we consume a lot of water and we convert that pristine water into wastewater. That's what the point she says. Water supplies, more water supply results in more water pollution. So there comes the increasing, what is the impact of this? Okay, destroys, due to water pollution, it destroys available water, and also increasing the cost of cleaning up drinking waters. So these are the added cost. So where this information can be used is regarding any question regarding water, lifestyle, we can relate with all these things. Just a simple point given, but we can relate based on the sector like agriculture, like or domestic purpose or industries, how the pristine water is converted as a wastewater or a highly polluted water. So you can relate with this aspect, human development or any question regarding that when you go for geography perspective, resources, and if any question regarding human and resources, how humans are not using the resources effectively, any questions regarding that, you can give this as a point. Okay, so that's in page 18. Next we go for page number 19, paragraph 1. Government of India ambitious and much needed Har Ghar Jal mission has recognized this fundamental flaw in water infrastructure projects and has stressed that its objective is sustainability so that water continues to flow in pipes and taps. This requires focusing on improving the durability of water asset that is created. It means ensuring that ponds, lakes and tanks are not encroached and that watershed critical for drainage to be secured is not destroyed. So there is a mission regarding this. Har Ghar Jal. So what are the most important thing is to protect water infrastructures. So to protect water infrastructure, there's a scheme is being done in India. So where we can use this point is, we recently see that urban floods are very high in India, and even questions are being asked in mains regarding urban floods. What may be the best solution is, this scheme can be said the primary focus of this particular mission is to protect the water infrastructures like natural drainage system, ponds, lakes. They want to protect it, and there is a particular mission for it. And this can be a point you can write it in your exams, which will be very specific information, as most of your candidates friends will be writing that we need to protect the natural drainage system for any question regarding urban floods. If you are able to give the scheme name, that will be very good. So that's point 1 in page number 19, paragraph 1. Next thing is, the problem lies in the fact that land and water bureaucracies are fractured. Somebody owns the pond, another agency the drain, and yet another the catchment. Water security requires this to change. This means giving much greater control over the water structure to the local community. So in this we can see that the role of bureaucracy. So it's a negative impact is there because of bureaucracy regarding water management. If you want to put in very simple term, we call that as compartmentalization. And she says that there are various departments owning different aspects of water management, like somebody owns the pond, for example revenue department is involved in it, and somebody owns the another agency the drain, public work department, environmental department. So this creates compartmentalization, and what may be the best solution for this is, she says that it should be local community led, controlled by local community. That may be the best solution, or to be put in different ways, that is decentralization need to be there. So where we can use this information is regarding bureaucracy and development. If any question is regarding that, for example role of civil service in development in India, critical aspects if being asked, you can give this as a point. How bureaucracy has structured water management into different departments, compartmentalization. So there is no coordination among all these departments. Ultimately the problem is water management is poor in India. So what's her suggestion is, better we need to empower this decentralized systems, that's nothing but panchayats. So this is the first news article. Okay. The next news article is water governance. So as a topic is there governance in your polity too. It's a water governance, very specific to water. So we just take paragraph 1, paragraph 2 and paragraph 3. So in that paragraph 1, more than 50% of precipitation takes place in about 15 days and less than 100 hours altogether in a year. Here precipitation means rainfall, rainfall, and what are the factual information is 50% of rainfall takes part in 15 days, that to 100 hours. So what the information we can understand is, for India's entire rainfall means we relate with monsoon, and southwest monsoon is the dominant one. So with this information we can predict that they are speaking about southwest monsoon. 50% of the rainfall takes place in 15 days and 100 hours. That's the rainfall what we get, which clearly shows that how rainfall is very skewed in India, correct? Though we are dependent on monsoon for agriculture and every activity in India, within 100 hours the entire 50% of rainfall pours in India. This can be a point you can use it in your critical aspect about monsoon, any question regarding geography, and why monsoon is the biggest evil. If any question is asked like that, we know that monsoon has a positive impact, everyone knows it, but what are the biggest issues regarding monsoon? So this can be a point you can give with very factual statements, saying that 100 hours in India receives 50% of total rainfall, so which is not very good for a geographical entity, correct? So that factual information you can use it in challenges of monsoon, or you can also relate with agriculture or any aspects, challenges in agriculture, this factual information can be used. That's the first point, factual information. Second factual information is there. After evaporation, we are left with about 2000 BCM of water. We cannot utilize this quantity in full owing to geological and other factors. The utilizable water resources are about 1122 BCM. So water utilized are about 700 BCM. So we can clearly see that out of 1122 BCM water availability, only 700 BCM can be used. This clearly shows that how shortage of water we have. Though we have water in this capacity, available capacity, but still we are only able to use 700 BCM. What is the reason why we are not able to use it? We'll see that. There is passages regarding that, why we are not able to use it to the full capacity. Okay. Then apart from this, the third factor is they have given the demand. So they say that by 2025, water demand will be 843 BCM, whereas by 2050 it will be around 11880 BCM. Here you can see that how drastically increasing in water, demand for water. What may be the reason why water is needed a lot? Very basic one, common sense one, population will increase in India. So we need to have another 10-15 years to stabilize the population. So population is going to be ever increasing. So that is always a basic need of water. But what is the availability of water we have is 1122 BCM is available. In that only 700 BCM we are using it. By 2050 we know that 1180 BCM is required as a demand. So you can see that mismatch between availability and the demand. So at this point you can also use it for answer writing. For example, if any question regarding India-China relationship. So you know that Himalayan ecosystem is a boiling point between India and China. So why India needs water? So this factual information clearly shows that India's demand for water is ever going to increase, and future flashpoint between India and China will be water. So this is all interpretation how we can relate with this, as we know that right now Brahmaputra is an issue between India and China is constructing dams there. So this factual information you can write even in international relations. So that's in paragraph 1. And another factual information is fourth one. 78% of water utilized goes for agriculture, 8% goes for domestic use, 6% for industries, and 8% goes for other use. Here the most important factual information is 78% is used for agriculture. So we already saw in the previous article, water used in agriculture is consumed, which we cannot recycle it or reuse it, or we cannot treat them. So whereas in India around 78% of pristine water is used in agriculture. This clearly shows that we are adding up the problem. Already availability of water is very less, and even availability of water is used for agriculture, which cannot be treated or recycled or reused. So that this information you can use it in your answer writing, how water is important and where we failed in India. So that can be a point you can use it, factual information, correct? And next factual information is in paragraph 2. Next factual information is with increasing populations, India's per capita water availability is declining. It is reduced from 1816 cubic meter in 2001 to 1545 cubic meter in 2011, and by 2050 1140. So that is a projection is given. So I'll just put years here, 2001, 2011, okay, 2025 or 2050. So by 2001 we have 1816 cubic meter, whereas 11 it's 1545 cubic meter, 1340 cubic meter, and 1140 cubic meter. So here you can also put a diagram like this, water availability and all those things. You can put a diagram in such a way that how it is getting reduced. So that like that you can plot it. So where we can use this factual information is, we know that water is the most important requirement for any society and any civilization. So water is getting reduced year by year. So that creates a problem in our system where water is the basic resources. So this diagram can be used in your answer writing regarding any question for water related issues or question regarding water scarcity. All this you can relate it and write the points. How India need to focus on water. So this factual information can be used in your introduction part also, or any point regarding water related issues, why we need to concentrate. Even you can put this information into a graph format also. So that's a factual information in paragraph 2. Next thing is what are the reasons they are given in paragraph 2. What are the reasons for it? One is increasing population, urbanization, industrialization, water pollution, inefficient use, climate change. So these are the reasons why in India water problem will exist. Starting from population to urbanization, industrialization, inefficient use. Good example is agriculture, that is 78% of agriculture, what is used for agriculture. Then climate change reasons. So this can be explained for a question regarding water related problems. You take all this 5 to 6 reasons and explain it. How that resulted in water related issues. Okay. So that's paragraph 2. And paragraph 3. The first issue is making an adequate quantity of drinking water available to the people. The second issue is improving the low water use efficiency in irrigation and industries. A drop of water saved is drop added to the ecosystem. Third issue is tackling pollution of water bodies. What may be the solutions? They are giving out few aspects. First and foremost thing is when you take water, availability should be ensured. Availability of water, especially drinking water. Then they focus on efficiency of water, efficient use and pollution. So if you want to solve the water problems, what need to be done? So these are some of the solutions. Logically, if you know the problems, and you can write the solutions. First one is to make sure that there is a right quality of water available for the people's basic existence. Then you focus on efficient use of water and then pollution. Okay. So this is paragraph, this is page number 25. Next we go for page number 26. Paragraph 1, paragraph 2, paragraph 3, paragraph 4, paragraph 5 and paragraph 6. So in that paragraph 1, page number 26. So in May 2019, a much needed policy reform was undertaken at the highest level with creation of Jal Shakti Ministry to give impetus to integrated management of water resources in India with special focus on demand side and supply side management. So what are the information we need to focus is 2019 in India we created a ministry of Jal Shakti. What the importance of this is, previously you also have ministry focusing on water but along with other objectives. What the ministry is focusing with other objectives was added with water. But 2019 India clearly understood that in future water is the biggest problem for Indian system. So we need to have a dedicated ministry for it. There's a created Ministry of Jal Shakti. That was the point. You can write it in your questions, anything related to how government is responding for water problems. This can be a point. Institutionally we are creating a ministry for it by 2019. And in this, another most important thing is integrated approach. So integrated management. So integrated water management is the focus of this ministry. What is this integrated management means? So they are going to focus both on supply side and demand side. So holistically they are going to focus on water management. So if you take irrigation projects and all, focusing only on supply side, whereas demand side is not taken into consideration. So right now for that also government is focusing on. We'll see that how this demand side is being addressed. So this paragraph 1 can be used for response of Indian government for water related issues. Any questions regarding that, you can write it there. Next thing is paragraph 2. Jal Shakti Abhiyan, first launched in 2019, is a water conservation campaign under which officers, groundwater experts, scientists from Government of India work together with state, district officials in India, most water stressed districts for targeted intervention, water conservation, rainwater harvesting and recharging structures, watershed development, intensive afforestation, community awareness and mobilization are the core of the campaign. So there is program called Jal Shakti Abhiyan for water conservation. Jal Shakti Abhiyan by 2019 for water conservation. So in this paragraph, what they say is, right from experts, government officials, local government and citizen are participating. This can be an example for governance topic, anything regarding stakeholders. Right now we can see that development is entirely based on stakeholder perspective. Stakeholders means the people who are getting impacted by the decisions, everyone is included in it. This can be a scheme given as an example for stakeholder perspective, where everyone is included for water conservation. So this can be a point used in your governance question or any polity question you can relate it. Even if a question regarding people and development, you can use this as an example. So right now government is moving in the right direction. And paragraph 3, Jal Jeevan Mission launched in 2019 aims to provide 55 liters of water per person per day to every household in country by 2024. So Jal Jeevan Mission, again another program. So what the target is, 55 liters per day per person in rural households. So rural households by 2024. And what is the importance of this factual information is, you can say the point regarding rural development, any question regarding rural development you can relate with this. Any question regarding women, especially in rural area, this can be information can use, because when you are saying government is making a promise 55 liters per day per person in rural areas, means you know that in rural India women and water is being highly attached one, where women in rural India is responsible for water and most of the women time is spent on collecting water. If government is making that promise, women have greater time where can focus on other aspects of the life, like enhancing their socio-economic life. So this point can be related with women and development. Any question regarding rural women, what need to be done. So this point can be given as a supporting argument for your stand, stating that government is giving greater importance for women development. Schemes like this are being created. Okay, that's paragraph 3. And paragraph 4. So paragraph 4 is regarding Pradhan Mantri Krishi Sinchai Yojana. So this is regarding micro irrigation. So government is giving greater importance for micro irrigation. Here you can relate with this factual information of 78% of water is used for agricultural activities. So government is very keen on it, so they want to reduce it. So they are going for micro irrigation, because agriculture practice in India is flood irrigation. To transform that, they are going for micro irrigation. Here you can also relate with the point of Ministry of Jal Shakti focusing on demand side. So we saw that it's integrated approach, supply side and demand side. So demand side they try to reduce it by means of micro irrigation. So this is one such scheme. And next thing is paragraph 5, Shahi Fasal initiative. So this is majorly focusing on cropping pattern. So we know that in India agriculture mostly they go for cultivation of crops which consume large amount of water, and this is an initiative, a good example of nudging. So nudging is a term used to say that trying to influence the people, and especially you can see that during Corona time we have whenever we make a call, there is a voice saying that go and put vaccines. Similarly asking people to pay taxes. These are all nothing but nudging. So government is trying to pull the people in one direction. So this Shahi Fasal initiative is one such thing. It's nudge factor for farmers to change their cropping pattern. So they want to move out from crops which consume large amount of water to the crops which consume less water. So this is the paragraph 5. And paragraph 6, National Water Mission, which aims to optimize water use efficiency by 20%, look to conserve water, minimize wastage, ensure more equitable distribution across within the states. The mission are also able to nudge various stakeholders to see water as a limited resource through campaigning like Catch the Rain, Shahi Fasal. Shahi Fasal which you already saw, and catch the rain is also a initiative focusing on nudging. So what other things can be done for efficient use of water is conserving water, minimizing water wastage, all these points which you already saw. So this is regarding paragraph 6. Okay. So right now we go for a question. So 2019 question, what is water stress and how and why does it differ regionally in India? So there's a difference between the term water stress and water scarcity. So water scarcity is more about quantitative term, whereas water stress is not only lack of water, which also have an impact on ecology and humans. That's called water stress. If you are able to give basic outlines, that's lack of water resulting in impacting ecology and human life, that's called water stress. Okay. And how and why does it differ regionally in India? For this information, we try to find points in these two articles, and they are asking that why water stress is differ in region India. So why, how and why differs regionally in India? Regionally means we can divide India into north, west, east, south. In that aspect we divide it, and we see that how water stress is existing in every region and what are the cause for it. For example, if you start with the very basic one, if you go for geographical reasons, we can take Rajasthan. So Rajasthan is a good example where geographically water stress is being created. What is the reason for it? Because there is no mountain ranges, monsoon waters passes through it. That creates water stress. That is one example of geography based water stress. One you can give Rajasthan, another you can also give Meghalaya. We know that Meghalaya receives large amount of rainfall, even Cherrapunji receives large amount of rainfall. But still water stress is there in Cherrapunji because geographical reason. Because the rock type is in such a way that once a rainfall finishes off in Cherrapunji, it goes down. So there is no proper bedrock to stop the water. So even water scarcity is there in Cherrapunji. So these two can be given as an example region wise. For example, starting with Rajasthan and Meghalaya, geographical reason. Next, for example, what may the other region we can take is we can go for Punjab, Haryana and UP. Why water stress is created? Because of economic activity, agriculture. So agriculture is the major cause where you can see that groundwater is going down. That is the reason why we have water stress in these regions. So that can be one. Next we can go for southern India, states like Karnataka, Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu, where you can say that industrial usage of water resulting in pollution, so there is a water stress. So that is one point you can say. Similarly, you can also say about urban India. So in urban India, why water stress created is because of a large number of population, especially occupying natural drainage systems. So all this you can relate it, and where we can find the point is already we see in the article regarding water governance, what are the causes for water problems. We see some few points, correct, like climate change or pollution, urbanization, industrialization and inefficient use. So all this can be a point, but we need to take this point and fit in a specific region. So we can take some regions and give some specific reason, dominant reasons for it. Rajasthan means geographical aspect, UP means agricultural activity, and urban areas means rapid urbanization, and South India means it can be because of industrialization. So all this you can give and you can write the answers, and finally in conclusion you can give the points how government is responding for it. For that we can see all these points, creation of ministry, creation of schemes, that can be the best answer. I hope that you are able to get an idea about these two articles and how it is useful for our mains exam preparations. Thank you.